Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is Carmen with Elemental Designs, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to create an art journal page pretty much with using no type of real art supplies, that is store-bought art supplies. I'm going to show you how pretty much to create a page with things that you might already have laying around the house. And before I continue, I just want to give a quick shout out to Mom to Create, because she's the one that pretty much got me in this mode of, show us how to do alternate, show us how to use alternate products when it comes to creating. And she actually, gave me the idea of me going backwards and kind of going into my first art videos, which weren't of the greatest qualities, you guys. And everything that I was creating with, for the most part, were not your quote-unquote art supplies that you will go and buy. Most of the things that I was doing back then were mostly DIYs. So here I'm just going to show you some of the things that I created from then, which were my stencils. These were some of the original things that I used to create with. Most of my art from then was made with these kinds of, handmade stencils. Here I have a piece of packaging material, and it just is like a fishnet type of packaging material. These were all pretty much drawn. I kind of I would print the image out, and then I would pretty much trace them, and then just go in there with an X-Acto knife and just do the best that I can and create my own little things. This actually, I passed this through the machine, and I was able to punch these out through the machine. This was one that I kind of drew. I traced it and drew it, and then I fuzzy cut it out so that I could get that nice little fairy. Let me use this. I think that'll be better for you guys to see. This one is just one that has like a big a hole in it. This one right here was a labor of love, but this was my own design. I pretty much just kind of went with the flow of how I was of what I wanted, and then I went ahead and just drew it out, and then I just with an X-Acto knife kind of cut out all these little leaves and little things. So these are things that you can do. And then what this material is right here, these are actually those plastic folders that you get when like the kids are going back to school, and usually you can find them like at a really good price. They're soft enough and flexible enough that you can actually use an X-Acto knife and not fight with it too much. This, as you can see, it's for the binders. This is a divider, and again, plastic. This is a little bit sturdier than the folder itself here. But again, very easy to more or less process and get your design out. This one as well. And this is all going to be part of my art journaling basics, because I know that sometimes it is a little bit difficult to buy certain art supplies and things like that. So this is just my way of showing you that you can more or less create your own. And as you can see, I didn't even finish this pattern out. I just, you can see that I took out, let me see if the back side is a little bit better. No, it's not. I just kind of drew it out and then just did little notches and just my own little design. And these are definitely things that you can do if you're on a budget. Don't feel that you cannot afford to buy stencils. You can always make your own stencils. Again, this is another one. And as you can see, I haven't used these in quite some time, which is why this is all homemade gesso that is on here, you guys. And this is some of the homemade gesso and modeling paste. I made it real thick because I figured I can always water it down if I need to use it for a gesso. But I put it in here. This is what I created on the first video of Art Journaling Basics. So if you want to learn how to do your own gesso and modeling paste, then definitely go to that video. I will leave probably somewhere at the end of this video, I will leave a link for you to be able to check these videos out if you haven't seen them. But again, this is just drawn out and then pretty much with an X-Acto knife just gone into it and removed all the little notches. This one as well, as you can still see all of the drawing that I did. And it doesn't have to be perfect, you guys, because this is all just about creating textures. This is one that I made of a brick wall, and it's got tape there because I wanted to mask these off So I just pretty much covered it with tape, but they're functional. This is just a random, you know, kinds of design. This is a clock that I made. I don't even know if I was able to fit all the numbers in here. Yes, I did. Starts up here. That's the number 12, and then all the way around. And as you can see, it's not perfect, but it does the job. It doesn't have to be necessarily perfect, you guys. So, you know, it's all about just putting the impression on there. And I'll show you something that I created. If I can find the other piece to this, would be awesome. But this is like one of the things that I created, and as you can see, you see the leaves there, and you see the leaves there. This was made with my DIY stuff. This is a very old piece here, and there's another piece to this which for some reason I can't see it, so I must have put it away somewhere. And the other piece had the clock. And this is very, very old, you guys. And this was done more or less in the same kind of way of what I'm going to be showing you today, which was with makeup. So all of the coloring that's on this page, on this, not page, but on this little frame thing, all of these colors here were all done with makeup, you guys. I have greens, purples, reds, golds, like all of the colors here are done with makeup. I have my own little hand-drawn feathers. This is another little clock stencil here that I made. And yes, they are very filthy. This is another design right here. It's a store-bought. But just to show you, this is a store-bought one. And there's not a lot of difference. The material, the plastic material is just about the same as the folder material. All you have to do is design it and then, you know, notch it out, and you're good to go. This is my own little clouds and stars, and then little dots that I put at the end in case I wanted to just do some little dots. This is my own design bird cage. This was something that I designed, and I pretty much implemented even the little bird inside. Everything was hand drawn by me with a permanent marker. And then I just pretty much proceeded to, you know, remove all the little pieces and just very gently, and you know, taking your time, obviously, because you are working with a very sharp object, and just proceeded to remove all the little notches. And sometime at the end of the series, I will get some of those those art projects that I created with them. I'll get them out from where I have them, and then I'll show you guys what they look like. This is another one that I created. I designed this myself. This is my own fence. My own gate, not fence, but this is like a gate that I designed myself, and you know, again, proceeded to remove all the little trims. Some of them I did, like for the fairies and stuff, I did go ahead and print it out first, and then I, you know, drew it out. But a lot of them were my own creation, you guys. You can go ahead and design your own things. You know, they don't have to be very complex. As long as you leave yourself spaces, you know, like how you have this little part here, this part divides that from that part. So when you go in stencil, then you'll have that little kind of division. The divisions is really what makes the stencils, you know, the way that they are, so that you can get the different textures. So something like a bird cage, you know, you have all the lines here, and then you have all the vertical lines, and then you just gotta take out the spaces in between and just leave the grid, you know, for something like this. This was my own DIY gears. I pretty much I printed out a sheet that had the gears on it, and then I just went to town and created my own stencil of gears. So this is another feather that I designed, and again, this is my own original design. And as long as you leave spaces between your notches, you are good to go. This is one that I printed out, this rose one, and I absolutely love it. It does such an amazing job. I have some stuff that I created with this one laying around my house, somewhere on one of the walls, where I did it with you know, I put the flower stenciling and stuff like that on the sides. It came out really, really nice. And again, these are labors of love. Some of the stencils that you create are going to be obviously more complex and more time consuming than others, but it's definitely a very cheap alternative because you guys can get a lot of these folders and you can cut them down and make them smaller so that you can make smaller stencils and make, create a lot of them. This is one that is just a whole bunch of circles, and we're going to be using some of these in today's art journal. And it's not so much of an art journal page, but I'm going to do it on a scrapbook sheet, which is pretty much the one that I've been kind of playing with for the past couple of days because I don't want to necessarily throw it out. So I'm going to be gessoing this whole thing out with my own homemade gesso, again made from baby powder, glue, and a little bit of a white acrylic paint. But the acrylic paint, it is optional, you guys. If you don't have paint, you don't have to worry about it. Get yourself a bottle of glue. This kind of glue, the school glue. Get yourself some baby powder non-starch and just a little bit of water. Mix it in together until you get a nice consistency, and you can definitely use that for gesso. So you don't even have to buy the more expensive brands to create art. So I'm going to put these to the side. So we have that. Today I found these at the thrifty store, and these were some sheets of and this is like gift wrap paper. But I really liked the print and stuff that it had on it. I love like the cupcakes and stuff like that. And these are things that you can go ahead and trim out. So you don't even necessarily have to have like, expensive kinds of things. These are all gift wrap papers. And I paid $1 for it. So everything here so far is like in the dollar range. No more than $2, I would say, to buy any of these things. This was, a nice find, but if you go to your thrifty stores, you can definitely pick up some really, really nice finds. And we're going to be using some of this paper today as opposed to like regular, scrapbooking paper and or stamping. We're going to be using some of that. This is from the Dollar Tree as well, and this is like some of that cotton lace. So I'm going to be using a little bit of that. I pulled it out to see if, we end up using it. These little palettes here that I'm going to be using, these are also found at the Dollar Tree. And it brings 6 of them in a pack. And then we have our coloring agents are going to be makeup. So this is something that I've been doing all the way since like I started. I didn't have shimmer sprays, and I couldn't afford to buy shimmer sprays. So what I would do is create my own. And pretty much these are some of the originals that I used back then. So we're going to be using some of that. I also brought a nail polish out so that we can add some cute little designs on that. And we have a little bit of brown. If I need a little bit of brown, then I have a little bit of brown. But any of your makeup sets, see how shimmery, I don't know if you guys can pick up the shimmer, but they're very, very shimmery. Any of these things will do. All of these things, powdered makeup things will do. And I mean, I've seen people go as far as using lipsticks and all different kinds of things. So you can definitely go ahead and use what you have. If you don't have paint, then by all means, pull out your makeup. And if you don't have certain things, like these were all $1 at the Dollar Tree. These are the LA colors. And I really like these mainly because they have a little brush inside, which this one is no longer here. But they're very, very, shimmery. You can see all of that sparkle by what fell on my hands. Just going to put that on the palette because I might as well. And we're going to be mixing some of these powders with some glues, and we're also going to be mixing them with some water to go ahead and create this layout. So let's get started, you guys. Alright, you guys, so I'm just going to speed through this process here, and this is pretty much me just showing you how I went ahead and implemented using all of the makeup, my own DIY gesso, and just how I went about creating a page without any paints, without any markers, or without any inks or stamps or other things that are considered art supplies or craft supplies. Pretty much I made my own DIY gesso. I have a video for that you guys can see on the very first video of the Art Journal Basics, which is part of the series that I have been starting. And here you just pretty much see me using some of that modeling paste, that I created. And I've watered it down so that I can go ahead and cover the entire page. I'm gonna proceed to dry this up with my heat tool and get this whole thing nice and covered. Now that everything is nice and covered, I'm gonna go ahead and use some of my stencils, and these are again are stencils that I made just by drawing different things out and just, you know, cutting out some of those little shapes, just to get some texture. And I'm gonna go ahead and layer some of that on. I'm gonna be using the circles, and I'm also gonna be using the brick wall that I created for the stenciling on this page. I'm gonna keep it somewhat simple, but at the end of the page, you'll see that even simple can still cause a very dramatic effect, and it still gives a lot of beauty to the page. Any way that you can go ahead and add texture to a page is awesome, and stenciling is just another way to add texture to a page. You can also glue down fabrics, you know, threads, ribbons, all different kinds of things in order to create texture on your page. And these are all things that you can find pretty much laying around in your home from worn out clothing or just different bits and pieces that you find along the way. Once this is all set up, I'm gonna go ahead and dry this up. And the reason why I wanted to show you guys, you know, usually I'll just you know, tell you what the products are and how you can use them, but I really wanted to show you guys you know, how to create it, because this is something that really inspired me, especially because this is where I came from. This is how I started here on YouTube, was by using these kinds of household items in order to turn them into art products and just materials that I can use to create my art. So this was really fun for me to, you know, do this. Hope that you guys have enjoyed it. And once this video is, you know, uploaded and it's up on YouTube, then I think the next video that I'm gonna be doing is probably gonna covering a little bit more about the other stencilings or other things that have to do with the doodling and things of that nature, just things to create texture onto your page. I just really wanted to get in there, like I said, you know, a segment where it was just about how to create art without having to use, you know, art supplies. And again, this is something that Mom to Create was talking to me about, and I'm really grateful for her to remind me of that, because I probably wouldn't have put that in here if it wasn't because she reminded me, and she definitely took me back to that place where I started from. So that was really awesome, because now I get to put this in here as well and really cover what the basics are, because you don't necessarily need art supplies in order to create, you guys. Sometimes, you know, you can create art out of just regular household items that you find all day, every day in your home. You know, from little pen caps to just little tops of bottles and just different things that create marks, that create, you know, texture. There's so many different things that you can use, and this is just another example of that. Here we are using makeup, and pretty much what I did with that is I used the school glue and I just mixed it with the powder, and I created kind of you know, like a loose kind of gel, because that's pretty much the consistency of it. It's like a gel, but it's a pigmented gel, and you can water this gel down with a little bit of water if you wish, or you can just wet your brush and, you know, dip it into the gel and use it like that. But as you can see, it does a really good job of applying, you know, applying down the colors. And you can use, you know, your palette, depending on what kind of palette you have. You can use any kinds of colors, and this applies to pretty much all of these loose eyeshadows, and even the ones that are like the little caked ones. You can go ahead and mash those up if you wish, and then just apply them, you know, to your glue and do it that way. Now, if you're gonna store these, then I would just make sure that you put them in an airtight container, and just know that they will dry out over time. They will last a while, but they will dry out over time. These are not those kinds of things that you can kind of like store on a shelf, you know, for endless time. They will dry out over time, but it's affordable enough that you can create another batch if you need to. And here I'm just heat setting it, just making sure that everything is dry before I continue. And what's awesome about applying it with the glue as opposed to applying it with something else is that the glue in itself becomes a sealer. So once you've applied this on with the glue, right, once you've made your mix with the glue and you've pretty much covered your whole entire page, then it's already sealed in. It's not going to move anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. You can go over that with a marker. You can go over that with paint if you want. You can apply other things to that layer if you wish to, and the bottom layer is not going to be affected, because it works very much like a matte medium, like you know, a sealer in that fashion. So it's an awesome way to create. And it's not sticky, you guys, once it's dry. It's not. And you also don't lose the shimmer or the shine of, you know, the mica powders in the eyeshadow, or your loose powders. And again, if you do not want to, if you don't like shimmer per se, you can always use matte. If you guys have matte eyeshadow, then by all means use those. It's a great way to kind of use up things that you already have, things that are, you know, they haven't used up in a while, things that are almost expiring. It's a great way to use up all of those kind of loose and old, worn out eyeshadows. No need to throw them away now, right, you guys? You can just repurpose them and turn them into, you know, art paint. So yes, now I'm gonna go ahead and apply some nail polish, you guys, because yes, nail polish can be used as another tool, as another medium, if you will. And I'm just gonna sprinkle some of this nail polish all over the place to just create some little dots. And I also found the white one, lucky me, so I'm gonna add some white dots as well. And then I'm gonna proceed to dry this up with my heat tool and just get these nice and set. I started kind of dabbing them on and then just kind of spraying, you know, sprinkling them everywhere. And then that's pretty much done. I will have some pictures of what the overall layout was like at the end of this video, so if you guys want to check that out. Also, I'm going to have pictures of the layout on my Instagram at Design Elemental, so that you guys can check that out there as well, and I hope you will follow me there also. Now here, I've already pretty much fuzzy cut all my little cupcakes. I've also fuzzy cut some of those, I think those are hydrangeas. I'm not really sure. I'm not really good with plant names, you guys. But those little purple flowers, very, very cute. And I thought that they actually, you know, added something to the page because I already had purple on there. So since I didn't have a purple cupcake, I was like, you know what, I'll put some of this in there. And luckily enough, with those papers that I purchased, those gift wrap papers, it actually had a little sentiment on there about love. So I thought it was perfect because obviously if you're gonna do such an awesome presentation with all these cupcakes, you definitely love somebody, right? So I just went ahead and I'm just figuring out how I'm gonna arrange them, and just moving forward and just adding them all down and gluing them all down. So again, you guys, you can find things to use in the weirdest of places. Gift wrap paper, books, you know, old magazines, worn books, you know, cereal boxes, you know, just general packaging, you know, all different kinds of things that have really nice bold images can be used for the purpose of creating art. It's all about how you use it, and the imagination is literally endless, you guys. I mean, there's so many different ways to skin a cat, and I don't really mean that, you guys, but you know what I'm trying to say. There's so many ways to do it. For the most part, I really like how this page came out, and I absolutely loved it creating it, just going back in time, you know, and getting back to my original basics, what was really art journaling for me, you know, art basics for real. So this was really, really fun, you guys, and I hope that you have enjoyed it. I might have a video or two left in the series before I go ahead and you know, start the actual follow along part of the series, which is going to be us creating our journaling pages from the beginning, you know, from scratch, with all of our homemade mediums. Or if you want to go ahead and buy yourself some store-bought mediums, and that's also fine if you're able to. If you're not able to, do not feel like you cannot follow along, because you surely can. Here I am using a ballpoint pen just to add some markings here and there and just add a little bit of definition to some of the leaves, not all of them, just some of them. And just adding a little bit of details here and there. And then I'm going to go in with a number 2 pencil, you guys, to add some actual shading and really get more dimension and definition in some of these areas. And I'm also going to go around the brick wall with it, just to make the bricks kind of stand out a little bit more. And look at the difference already of just how the page is coming out, just by adding a little bit of shading here and there. So again, don't feel like you need to have like your Faber-Castell Pitt pens or something like that. If you don't have it, that's quite all right, you guys. You'll definitely get there with due time. Grab your pencils, grab your pens. You'll be surprised at things that you can do with them. They're not just for writing, you guys. You can surely use them for so many different things. So I do hope that you have enjoyed this. And I look forward to creating more things like this for you guys in the future. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Definitely hit that bell, because I do have a lot of different things coming out on a regular basis. And stay tuned to the Art Journaling Basics series. I have a playlist for that on my channel, so if you want to go and check that out, please feel free to do so. Thank you guys so much, and stay tuned for the pictures. Bye!